Hi, welcome to a good, not great Disciple Tools tutorial. We say good, not great because I'm going to do my best to dump some information that will be helpful, but I will not pause too long to over polish this thing. I'm just trying to get out information on how to interact. So this particular good, not great tutorial is for the network dashboard. And you can find the network dashboard if you go to the Disciple Tools website and you go to the plugins area. Either one, you can either search for the network dashboard or find it in the list. And then from here, you can download, and this will download it from basically the GitHub project. So if you actually click on here, you can actually see the GitHub project and you can download the code. We'd recommend you stay, unless you are actually trying to get to the most current branch, go and grab the code from the published version. I'm going to be covering on this tutorial version 2.0, so we haven't even published it yet. I'm just doing the video ahead of time to help help people implement this. And so here's inside your Disciple Tools. I'm going to use the Zume community backend to kind of illustrate how the plugin is being used in an actually live project, and then hopefully that'll be informational. But you would go to your Disciple Tools system, and backend is WordPress, and so you'd log into your admin area, and you would add the plugin, and that plugin would end up showing. So the zip file you downloaded here, you'd upload here, add a new plugin. Go to your upload plugin, get the zip file that you downloaded from our website, and from there you'll be able to add it to your plugins area. You'll see it in the list here where it says Disciple Tools Network Dashboard. I'm running a multi-site. I'll explain what that is later, but essentially you can activate the plugin and it will add for you a new it'll add the plugin to your plugins area. Once enabled, you'll see at the top of your Disciple Tools system this tab called Network, or it won't show up right away. There's actually a toggle you'll have to set, but this is what you'll get on the front end once you've enabled it. The system will have kind of a home dashboard and a focused group with a hover map giving you some roll-up details from the system. The lower section of the dashboard has all the sites that may or may not be connected to you, and when you first establish it, you won't have any sites. It'll give you a roll-up of all those sites' productivity over time and groups launched inside the system over time. Inside here as well, you have site reports, activity logs, the statistics, roll-up of the whole network, maps, and various levels of maps depending on whether you implement the Mapbox key or not. But I'll come back to a walkthrough through that. After enabling the plugin, you'll also in the back end, this would be a Disciple Tools back end of the site. If you go down to extensions DT, you'll see in the list network dashboard. Click on that, and this is what the plugin enables. At the top, remember I said by default the upper network tab is actually hidden. So if I go back, you can actually see by default it's hidden. It doesn't show up. Oh, whoops. Yeah, so it's gone. So not there. And so when you do enable it, it powers that to come back. Here we go. Yep. So back with the dashboard. And so that basically means you can be running, there's a lot of implementations where you might be running the network dashboard, but not necessarily wanting the front end user interface to appear. Okay, so then on the first, in the series of tabs, so I'm going to walk through these. You have your network profile. Inside of a Disciple Tools network, you're going to have multiple nodes. I should actually jump to that. But real quick orientation, you'll have, you establish your ID of your network, your site ID, a little nickname for it. This tells you if you have multiple languages that you're supporting inside Disciple Tools, it'll pull all of these in. The lower part, network map, would basically show you all the incoming site logs and sites reporting to your site, and then how many sites you are reporting out to. So it's a very simple kind of map to show all of that. You have a multi-site incoming. This is if you're running a multi-site, you'll have this tab. If you're not running a multi-site, you will not have this tab. But this basically is a list of all the sites that you have permissions for. You have a remote incoming. This is it's if you don't have a multi-site, it'll just say incoming. But these are basically sites that you have linked up externally. Some sites will have are remote and non-Disciple Tool systems. Some are Disciple Tool systems, and they'll have a title. And all of that's clarified down here. You can see how these are highlighted to say these are the systems that are remote, not multi-site, incoming to your current system. Then you have outgoing, where you can manage what systems you are reporting out to, if you send nothing to them or if you send your daily report. And so that list of sites will show up here, and you can update your preferences. So this is the System tab, and on this you can manage your local site. What comes with the network dashboard is a movement log that records internal activity. This current site has 10,000 records. And so I can delete the local log, or I can rebuild it, as well as rebuild or refresh the snapshot, which is basically a totaling of today's activity, or as of yesterday's activity inside the system. And other sites where you are connected to those and their activity logs, in this system, California, Colorado, these systems and their domains have had collections as of today, and they're reporting in various levels of records or activities from those sites. You can also see down here details of these other systems. So this is fairly helpful if early on as you're setting something up. You can check for things like what version of the network dashboard are they running, what migration, or if there's locks in their migrations, what theme level is that system running, various things like that. And it'll help you kind of diagnose problems, maybe incompatibilities or things like that. Lower down on the Systems tab is the activity keys and counts. So these are the different types of activity logs that are being generated. Kind of shows you the ones coming from this site versus all other sites. So those kind of details. Again, you almost never need to refer to it, but this is where you, as setting up your network, you'll be able to find some information. You can trigger sites. Thing about Disciple Tool sites is they run on the WordPress cron system, and sometimes if nobody's visited a website, it may not have triggered a lot of background processes. So you can actually go through and trigger sites once they're all set up. Click this, it'll go through and it'll go wake up all the websites you're connected to, so that they do trigger and then build their network data. And then you have daily cron processes, and these things you almost don't need to look at unless you're troubleshooting, but this tells you that these different stages of processes in the background, how many hours until they run again, or if you want to stop them and run them over again. And then you've got logs and some explanations. So anyways, very detailed system background. Most people will not need to have to look at it very much at all. In the upgrades area, you have the ability to upgrade the entire Disciple Tool system with a Mapbox key, as well as a IP stack if you happen to be doing incoming event logs from external systems, and you're basing your locations on IP addresses. You want to convert those IP addresses into geolocations. That's what this translation service does here. And then tutorials. And so, okay, backing up, the big picture is best I'm going to try to do through through pictures more than wandering through the orientation on the software. So the basic idea of Disciple Tools Network is that you could have independent we call them federated disciple tool systems running independently and interconnecting themselves to each other. So you can run disciple tools completely on your own. But you can also run disciple tools just in single relationship to another one. Maybe that's you're transferring contacts, maybe you're in some kind of partnership like that, or you can be connecting your dashboard to another dashboard. In the same way, you can have this a single node where you're actually connected to a number of dashboards. So this is the basic picture. Here's even a better one. This is where version 2.0 of the network dashboard has gotten to. We have support for a hierarchy system. So you can take the network dashboard and install it, but not show it on multiple disciple tool systems, and then connect those systems to what would be like a lead team. So imagine one of the use cases is if you're running in a geographic area a partnership that has multiple cities involved. And so each of those cities could be running a disciple tools sub 1, sub 2, sub 3 system. And so those teams are following up on their own contacts, tracking their own group progress, just doing the things inside the disciple tool system. And you have a team that is wanting to see the activity of all those different cities into a single dashboard. And so that would be a hierarchical kind of configuration where these teams, sub 1, 2, and 3, are just sending reporting data up to a dashboard for the lead team, whatever that is. And that lead team is only receiving. And so this is a setting you can actually configure when you set up the site-to-site links, if it's a receiving or sending only, or it's both directional. So this is the type of connection. So that kind of connection does not pass data back down. It just passes data one direction. Okay, so the other kind of network that can be supported with the Network Dashboard 2.0 is a flat or organic network where there is no hierarchy. You're really a collection of partnering efforts looking for disciple-making movements in either a physical region, or you could all be in the same city but different teams. So it's not, wired, it has to be geographically spread out, but it could be. So what that looks like is like this. You have a dashboard installed on the lead team and a dashboard installed on the team here, and they have a bidirectional connection to each other. And so the dashboard here shows the team rolled up data, and the team here shows the lead team rolled up data. And the states has this connection. Now, what disciple or network dashboard does not support is second generation reporting. Like maybe someday in the future, but right now the 2.0 only supports explicit relationships. So it can go bidirectional, and this team can report to this dashboard, and this dashboard can report to this one, and this dashboard can report to this one. But the dashboard information in the team does not report to the states and then go all the way to the regions. There is no second generation of passing of data supported right now. Lots of security concerns with that. We've left, in the way that this is built, the power so that this team doesn't give authority to states and lose authority as states passes that data on to regions or to some other dashboard. We've actually made it so that the team has to explicitly give relationship to the partner, and then determine the kind of, and then be able to basically sever that relationship and withdraw the data. So the data is not permanently lost control of. So anyway, so flat networks like this, and then we also support this column here, which is the multi-site. And multi-site is actually not as much a network configuration as it is the way you implement a server. And what I'll just point out real quick, this dashboard to dashboard, big red X on it, because in 2.0 we have not yet supported this. mostly because of security concerns, and we're trying to figure that out. But not that it isn't off the table for some time in the future. But the idea of connecting one dashboard to another dashboard has a lot of theoretical possibilities, but there's some security concerns and permission issues that we did not go after in this version. So anyways, but circling back, the multi-site versus single install is a way that you can install WordPress, for one, fundamentally. You can have a WordPress system that is on its own. It's just one site. But if you're running multiple systems, which is possible, and Disciple tools can be run this way, you can have one server and have truly hundreds of Disciple tools systems installed on that one server and that one database. This is a big value for organizations that have a lot of diversified teams, but want to make sure maintenance is handled all in one server. So you can pay for a higher quality server with better bandwidth and some of those resources and put it all into one server and support hundreds of independent sites. So that's kind of the logic there. So does the network dashboard will connect independent servers through what's called API connections, or it'll support multi-site servers. So there's a little tweak there that we can talk about, but that is basically the network configuration. So again, this is another way of looking at it. You can send and receive, so the network plugin inside of each of these Disciple Tools systems the Disciple Tools system can send to this dashboard plugin and send back, right? So this is a bidirectional. Or you can have a Disciple Tools system that just sends to the dashboard. That's your hierarchical system. And then one that I didn't really mention is that you can actually have, in WordPress, we have an additional network dashboard remote plugin. And that remote plugin simply provides inside of a WordPress environment a way to track movement activity and pass that also to the network dashboard plugin. So the use case for that is if you have an outreach website where you're wanting to track very specific activities. This isn't intended to be a replacement for Google Analytics or one of those kind of like website traffic analyzers. This is more in the Zume project. We'll even use this when somebody's starting to finish a course. We want to know that. And so we will trigger a little update that, hey, someone's finished one of our Zume training courses. And that will send us a record into our network dashboard plugin so that we can be able to both pray and celebrate that accomplishment. So here's another way of just looking at those. I'm just going to be a little redundant. Hopefully you can skip if it's of no use. But here's a hierarchical system. Here would be, though we aren't supporting dashboard on this one, but here is a send and receive. So one Disciple Tools sends to the other two. The other two are interconnected. So really there is no, because we don't go second generation, and Disciple Tools number 2 over here never sends Disciple Tools number 1 data anywhere. These systems can be interconnected or mash connected all day long without actually mixing data or duplicating data. Every dashboard will look different. So Disciple Tools, if it is connected to Disciple Tools, so the dashboard like this, if this dashboard, it will have information from all the connected nodes. It will not have it from this further node over here, whoops. But it will have all 4 of these sites reporting to it. But this one here at the bottom only has, maybe I should use this thing, only has 2 sites reporting to it. So this one here has 4 sites, all explicit connections to their dashboard. But the one here only has 2 sites. This one has no other sites. So this This one here only has one site. It does not get to see these. It just sees the relationship established between these two network dashboards. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to jump out of this and go back real quick. So now, when we are talking about map, there will be a tutorial on how to set up Mapbox, but what that offers, it gives you additional mapping support. So natively, the Mapbox or the Disciple Tools Network Dashboard 2.0 has built in these polygon kind of white background maps that allow you can drill into them, and they're kind of roll up data. But with the Mapbox key, it unlocks the actual like more of a native mapping tool, and you will have various kinds of cluster maps that allow you to drill very deeply, even down to rooftop or depending on how accurate your data is. So these kind of maps down here with the contacts as well, these are roll-ups statistically, and it provides the polygons from all of the sites that are contributing data. But as you zoom in, it loads and gives you kind of a chloropeth polygon chart of where things are. But it's a little more natural, the kind of zooming in and out experience. You also have things like the location list area. And why don't I just walk through top to bottom? That would be a lot more logical. So you have on the home page, you have your starter map. You have a roll-up of these represent all the active contacts, active groups, active users, active sites, active countries in the last handful of days are in the database reported. These are events 30 days back from the event log. This tells you how many sites are involved, contacts last 30 days, and you can switch that and look at different time windows for both new groups. And this is really the totaling of all of the sites that are connected to the network dashboard and are being totaled up into these kind of charts here. Then you have the site reports area. This is both, and you can get to it from the one on the home page as well. But here I can click into any individual site and actually get a little more specific data. Generational growth reported in that network dashboard. Church generations in this particular site's dashboard or database. Contacts, so here is what we see on the roll-up on the front. 869 active contacts, but paused contacts, closed contacts, and total in the database. Then you have, for this site specifically, kind of the roll-up data on its activity over time. You get to see the follow-up funnels, so very from new contact all the way into someone who's being coached, and then ongoing meetings and baptisms. You get to groups, and you'll be able to see active groups, total, and then you've got pre-groups, group, and church as your corresponds to the funnel there. You can actually have a funnel here that shows that. And then you have same thing, 60-day window, 12-month window. You can kind of see how groups are entering into the system for this particular site. And then if the site is using it, the health window, so you can see practicing, non-practicing on these different elements of leader praise, and helps you see where you may be needing to focus some training for that site. And then you've got a user activity area, so how many responders, dispatchers, multipliers, admins, and how active are they in the system over time. So, and that's basically what these are. Charts here. So you have an activity log, and this is new to the new network dashboard. So the log here, it goes off and basically displays movement activity out of the systems that are contributing. So we can turn off the training and movement logs and just focus on, these are external remote sites pouring in, but we can actually look specifically at Global Zoom A is reporting a new training planned here, new contacts, new trainings. These are live things. So basically, this gives you a pulse on some of the activity coming in. I think we're going to improve this, try to get a little more elegant form of live activity, but basically it gives you a good pulse on the what's happening throughout all of the networks. And really our goal is the prayer points, so that we be able to pray and celebrate when new things are happening, baptisms are happening. So same thing here. This is just a different way, totaling activity across multiple things. I'll make a mention about the filter, that you have kind of a limited filter set, but you can go last 7 days, last 30, and last year. And then we're still working out because these are WordPress systems, more than 10,000 records, we're kind of having a little bit of scale. So you can basically say, yeah, give me 5,000 records over the last 7 days or 30 days or last year, and it will do its best to pull back that massive report. I think we'll get better at future versions, but the real exciting part of the activity log is this map, so that internally you'd be able to, if your data is coming in with mappable coordinates, not all data has location information on it, but for those areas that do, you'd be able to really zoom in and celebrate where some of this activity is happening. So anyways, and what happens here, I'm kind of bumping around too fast, but if I slow down, you can see the spinner wheel, and it'll basically help me find what are these activities that are happening. I can see a record of it here. So this is happening in Wyoming, must be that guy up there. This list is not intended to be like clickable, where I could go back and find who is this, who did they do this. This is, again, the network dashboard, so that there are a lot of protocols put in place to keep this from being personally identifiable data. Even these initials are really just aliases for assisting a prayer team to be able to celebrate and pray for things happening, but not be able to backwards engineer who is this person and where are they. Many of the implementations of this dashboard we expect to be in hostile environments. So we wanted to be able to create unity and solidarity without surrendering personally identifiable or vulnerable data. So inside, if you keep going down the list, you have statistics. And so in the statistics area, this is a roll-up versus the site reports, which are to those individual sites. These are statistics for the entire network. And shows very similar data points, but it's rolled up or aggregated all together. So you can see baptism generations across multiple sites. And here's groups, same thing. This is aggregate data across the entirety of the network. In a great sense for solidarity, to know, hey, we're seeing 5th generation churches across our network. If you want to know who's doing that, you can go dig into the site reports, but then you can kind of see how many active workers do we have across all of these areas. And so that's basically what these reports are. And so then down under the maps area, if you have the map box key, you'll actually also get the area maps. And this is, again, aggregate data across all the sites, so they can all basically have representation. So you would click here and you get a rolled up total for the different locations. Again, this is all intended to be big picture information. The framework is good, and we hope to continue to grow our capacity to really show data that's meaningful for action. So, and then you have a hover map here at the bottom. Hover map is just another way of displaying very similar aggregated data through this kind of drill down. You can hover and kind of see a list of everything at one time, and then drill in a little deeper and get that same kind of roll up at different administrative levels. And then finally the location list, which is again just another way of being able to quickly scan and find activity with, not as visual, but you'd be able to scroll down and see where is the top amount of contacts for the Zoom A project, and scroll down, see how many pieces of what's happening across all those systems. Okay, there is a walkthrough, super long, hopefully helpful, and we'll try to add a few more videos covering specific points of the network dashboard.